You're watching Hellbent Holler live.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing today? Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we will get started with the show. There we go. All right. We have a ton of people in the chat already. It is so cool to see you guys. Are we 5x5? Yes. All good. Awesome. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live, our weekly show. We do it 7:30 p.m. Eastern every week on Monday. My name is Jessie. This is Joe, and we're happy to have you here today. We're going to talk about some pretty dark stuff today.
Pretty dark stuff. I'm making sure our image looks pretty good. Yeah, the image looks all right. Making sure we ain't fuzzy. So
just make sure we're good. All right, cool. Well, nice. All right. Let's get going, shall we?
Okay.
Let's do some housekeeping right out the gate here. I want to remind you all that we are going to be at the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con in McMinnville, Tennessee on August the 10th. So if you guys can make it out to that, we would love to meet you. We'd love for you guys to hear us and meet us and hang out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a blast. It's put on by 40 in Tennessee. So that is going to be a blast. We're going to really enjoy that. After that, in November, November 23rd and the 24th, we're going to be at Cryptid Con in Lexington, Kentucky. We are looking forward to that as well. That's a 2-day event. We're going to have a little table. We're going to be hanging out and having a good time. So all that's out of the way. Let's get down to business.
Let's go to it.
Shall we? I just want to say, first off, my condolences to Dee and Dooster. They had a bit of a family tragedy over the past couple of days. Yeah. So my thoughts and prayers are definitely with them. That is a rough situation. So anything else?
Nope.
Cool.
Okay. A lot of people here. So we got a topic tonight. It doesn't mean we're going to stay on that topic. Probably barely be on that topic, but and there's a reason why we chose this particular topic to talk about tonight. We have got a pretty weird case that we're working on.
Kind of a gruesome case.
And we're still kind of in the initial stages of feeling our way through it, but we'll get to all that. So, Lady Wolf, best mod in the business. Thank you for being a member for 8 months there, lady.
Thank you, lady. I'm mush mouth these days, aren't
Everybody's hot, man. Everybody's like wilted. I'm wilted. You know what I'm saying?
That's why my hair's up today. I'm like, you know what? We're not even
I was just
dealing with it.
It's freaking screw all this heat, man. So thank you, Sherry. Good. We appreciate that. The icebreaker. Welcome and show small event. Curtis Whitaker kept up his standard money at the beginning of it.
Obviously.
I just feel like I can coast now. I don't really have to
Obviously,
put a lot of effort into this.
we're
now.
delivering something.
I know,
here.
but now I
Something's
just feel like now the pressure's off me. I don't really need to.
You're just gonna just
go phone it in now at this point.
Ride it through.
Thank you, Sherry and Curtis. We both appreciate that.
We do. Thank you,
Sherry,
so much.
and thank you, Curtis. We greatly appreciate that. So as you can see, what did you even title this? Cryptid predation upon pets and livestock.
Pets and livestock. Yes.
Oh, okay. We had a pretty strange email that has started us on I don't know if you can call it a case, because we're still looking into it. We're still trying to figure it out. And if the person who sent us all of this is listening, please get back in touch with us.
Yeah, communication kind of dropped off after
Communication
a couple of emails.
Died. So obviously you are familiar with our show, whether you watch it regularly or not, I don't know. But get back in touch with us. So we did say that we were going to talk about this and look into it, and they were fine with that. But then they just and people do that sometimes. Sometimes people, when you have a brush with something that's not supposed to exist, or something that, some sort of high strangeness, sometimes when the shock kind of wears away, you just don't want to mess with it anymore.
Yeah, you kind of want to leave it behind and kind of not think about it anymore.
Yeah. So, sorry, Sam Burton. So we could not get connected. Asked if we could just start over. Anyway, so we got an email from a guy. I'm not even sure if it's his real name, but can we mention his name?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a first name. A lot of people have it.
We got an email from a guy that reached out to us because he'd had an experience in North Georgia, and we have done a lot of stuff in North Georgia. Not only Georgia, but North Georgia. Figures pretty predominantly in some of the cases that we've had and some of the investigations that we've done and everything like that.
And we've been working in that area for a long time at this point. We've gone on a few years out there, and we're in kind of different areas up there. We have a couple of different places we go to and investigate. That's the area where we caught the burning light. That's the area where the source of Jumpergate came out of there. That's also the area where we've kind of stumbled across some of that occult stuff in the woods. And we got those recordings of whatever those things were making noise around that tree.
This guy had, I don't want to hype. I mean, if it's real and if it's what they're claiming, it's pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's real. It might just be, you know what I'm saying, a story off the, a story that this guy is sharing, or it might have been a case of mistaken identity. But you've been in contact with him, so do you want to kind of tell her? Do you want me to tell it and you just chime in as I go along?
I can go through it. You can go through it with me. We'll kind of just, let's do it together.
Okay, let's do it together.
So this guy got in touch with us through our website. We have a contact form on our website. You can go in there and fill out your information, and it'll shoot it over to our email. He got in touch with us via that. And the incident that occurred happened you know how July 4th was during the week. This incident occurred the week before. He and 3 other people were going out camping in North Georgia. They didn't really have a lot of experience out in the woods, but they decided they were going to kind of get away, and they went a little early before that weekend and went out to this little area to go camping. They were going to hang out. It was him, his girlfriend's friend, and her boyfriend. And the girlfriend's friend, sorry, this is convoluted.
Yeah, it's kind of convoluted. And again, this has all been kind of working through email, and then it just kind of went dark.
Yeah, but the girlfriend's friend actually brought along 2 of her dogs.
Pit bulls, right?
She had 2 pit bulls. Yes, correct. brought them with them, and they went out there and set up during the day. Everything was normal.
And he stressed that because we asked him, we were going, how did it feel? And he goes, during the daytime, completely normal.
Yeah.
That, again, I want to stress this, that these are people that, are, at least according to this guy, the only person that we've talked to, I guess, when I say talked to, corresponded with, none of them really seemed like they'd spent a lot of time in the woods, but they were looking to get out there for the 4th of July, kind of celebrate a little early. Now, the area that he's talking about, there probably wasn't nobody out there on the 4th either, but he was just kind of thinking, oh, we wanted to get out before everybody was out for the 4th. And I'm going, where you were, no matter what time of the year it was, ain't nobody there.
Yeah, we really don't we don't run across a lot of people out there, because we've been through that area before. We've hiked near that area, but we've never been to that particular area before. So this is kind of a rough one, though.
It's kind of dark. It's kind of.
So the sun starts going down, and they start shooting off fireworks. And it's nothing really big. He said it was just something they picked up on the way up there. They start shooting off fireworks, and they hear this yell, scream from the woods, but it's a distance
It's
away.
in the distance, deeper into the forest. They were against water, right?
Yeah, there's a river there.
And so into the forest, they hear like a scream as they're setting these fireworks off. And we're like, what did it sound like? He's like, a scream. I don't know. Well, what did you think it was? And he goes, I don't know. We figured it was like a fox, coyote, something like
an owl or something.
Something, they're not familiar with like wildlife through there. And we'll save that part. Anyway, so they start setting off fireworks, and usually sounds like that are going to drive normal wildlife off. Well, the screams started getting closer. And so they kind of like went quiet, according to this guy for a bit, and then they didn't hear anything. They'd set them off. So the screams came closer.
Which is really bizarre that they kept on going. I guess they thought, well, this is normal, But if
I have questions about some of the story, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we'll even get to some of the other parts.
But maybe because
not questions about maybe the validity of what they're telling us, but maybe that they were
the decisions they were making.
The decisions that we're making lead me to believe that maybe they were, I don't know, they're partying, drinking. At 4th of July, I don't know.
It is a holiday, but yeah.
So, but generally, regular wildlife, you start setting off fireworks. Coyotes, everything like that.
It's going to avoid the area.
They're going to like run when they hear it.
Yeah.
Especially in an area where there might be occasional poachers through there, but this is not like an area where you really hunt at. I guess you could, but you're not supposed to. So they were saying that it went quiet for like a little bit, and they're kind of standing around talking. And then all of a sudden, there's this loud scream, like right on the edge of like the wood line. And they were going, it sounded loud before, but they realized that it was kind of far off still, and now it's like right there, and they could feel it. They said
the guy said he felt it in his bones.
And again, when I say they, we're getting one person's story, and he's kind of saying all of us. So I guess we're just gonna have to go with what he told us, because that's the only information we got right now. But felt it in their bones. They said. Well, the two dogs like run into the tree line and start fighting with something.
There was this huge commotion. They were fighting. It was barking, and then all of a sudden, he described it like this, that the dogs screamed, that both dogs like screamed, and then there was this silence.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there was just silence. The girlfriend's friend is freaking out. Her dogs ran into the woods. She's flipping out. She's trying to go after them. And then there was this huge scream that came again after that incident happened, just right there. And they flipped the hell out, which makes sense. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah,
that's absolutely terrifying.
Kind of that last scream, the dogs go quiet. The last scream kind of breaks the spell, the shock that they were under, and they grab the one girl wants to go in after her dogs. They grab her, they drag everybody out, they just leave. Now, from what I kind of gathered is that these were people that don't really do a lot of camping, so I doubt they had a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah.
Fireworks, obviously, like a tent, but I mean, I know they might not even had sleeping bags or whatever. So, they basically all leave, and then the next day, the girlfriend's friend, the dog owner, wants to go back. She's just convinced her dogs are going to be there at the campsite waiting for her, and the guy is just like, I knew the dogs were going to be dead. We were going to find these dogs like dead up there. And he goes, he even convinced, like kind of told his own girlfriend, I just don't be surprised, like mentally prepared her, I guess. You know? Don't be surprised if we get up there and we find these dogs are dead. We need to be prepared for this. Obviously your friend's going to, break down. It's going to be pretty grim, but we've got to be prepared for this. And then meanwhile, the friend's just going, they're going to be at the camp. They don't run off. They're there waiting for me. I've got to get up there. I've got to get up there. So they go up, no sign of the dogs.
Nothing.
They look around the woods where they ran into, ain't nothing there.
There's no fur, there's no blood, there's no dogs, nothing, just completely gone.
And we're like, did you look around? And they were going, yeah, like we looked around while they were gathering the stuff up, like what they had, tent, whatever. And he's like, just nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just nothing at all. And I'm going, man, if these were like coyotes that were just like a lot bolder than usual, pack of coyotes gets into a fight with 2 pit bulls. You're going to find evidence of the fight. You know what I'm saying? You're going to find evidence of the fight. Bear gets into a fight with 2 pit bulls. You're going to find evidence of the fight. Mountain lion, anything like that, even if they were to take the bodies away, there's going to be evidence of what
there would
went
be blood
down.
or something.
Yeah, stuff like that doesn't exist in a sterile environment.
Yeah.
But the dogs are gone. The dogs are gone. And the dog owner, and again, this is convoluted, I know, you know what I'm saying? But the dog owner, the guy who wrote us, his girlfriend's friend, the dog owner, is from that general area. And he goes, she's just convinced that like Bigfoot has killed her dogs because people are telling her, oh, you don't go up there, because as she's telling people what's happened, because obviously she's upset.
She described the scream.
And people are going, Bigfoot's killed her dog. And he goes, I don't know what to do with this. I came across you guys. Sounded like he had just come across us, like looking for this. And he goes, so I'm just letting you guys know. And here's what's weird about it. Because we go, have you reported this to the authorities? And how did he phrase it? Is it personal reasons?
Personal reasons.
No, I don't want to contact the authorities for personal reasons.
So we kind of deduced that there might be, I don't know if there's a warrant
involved, or maybe there's some reason they don't want to get in touch with the police officer. I don't know, but we couldn't get any kind of like more information than that. So normally what I would do, we get a lot of reports in. We get reports usually a couple times a day. We might go like a day or 2 without a few, and then we'll get like 5 in. So we get them pretty steadily throughout the week. Normally, if this had been, take this entire story we just shared with you and take the dogs out of it, we just would have gone, well, that's really interesting. Do you have any plans on going back up there? Well, if you do, let us know, blah, 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 blah. Thinking, okay.
Because you have a possibility that they misidentified what the scream was.
They're not people that spend a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah.
Even when you do spend a lot of time in the woods, wildlife sounds weird sometimes, man.
Barn owls sound extremely weird if you don't know what they are.
Yeah, and but the fact that they were setting off fireworks repeatedly and whatever it was came closer. That's not typical wildlife behavior.
Yeah, that definitely threw up a red flag. And then the fact that these dogs are gone, just absolutely.
That's the
gone.
big thing.
Just gone without a trace.
They didn't find a scene of a fight. They didn't go back there, and the dogs were waiting for them. That's what kind of piqued our interest on the whole thing. And that's where we're now just starting. And again, we're sharing it because we're extremely interested in what's happening, because we've gotten cases like this before. We talked about that female hiker whose dog went back in after something and never came out. There's been 2 female hikers with dog stories that we've gotten. We didn't share one of them. There's the lady north of us in North Carolina, which was one of the first dog man.
That was part of our big thing when we started doing the dog man. When we started looking into Dogman.
She said it killed her dog.
Yeah, that was one of our big cases that actually threw us into Dogman, was that this thing came and killed one of her dogs. So it leads you to ask the question, why would these things kill these dogs? Is it because they're trying to take out like a protector of these people? It's trying to get to these people, and it's kind of removing the protective element?
I don't know. And then Lady Wolf's got a thing here. There's no drag marks. Now keep in mind, you're not dealing with like Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett here, because again, they said they're not, outdoors men and women. But at the same token, 2 full-grown pit bulls going at it with something. Bear, mountain lion. I mean, a fight ensued, and then the dogs Again, just going on him, screaming, whatever you want to say on that. That's not a typical dog. It's not howling. He said screaming. So you would expect there to be some sign of a fight. You know, nature's pretty brutal with stuff like that. You know,
they came back the next day too.
Yeah, they
so
came
it's
back the
not
next
like
day and they went
time.
into where the dogs ran at.
Yeah.
Because again, the dude's going, I'm just knowing we're going to find these dogs dead. Ain't nothing there. But that's what got me is that I'm going, okay, were these things like carried away? Were these animals carried away?
And if so, like why? Like, you know, and I know we can't put our logic onto whatever this was, whatever this is, but
and it's so strange because, you know, sometimes you hear about animals and they just cower. You know, they're going, oh, I've got a very protective large dog, and then it smells these things come around my property and they just cower.
Yeah.
You know, they hide under the porch, they do whatever. Obviously, these dogs like went after it, you know, and somebody had mentioned something about the dogs not being contained. Yeah, you know, it's talking to it. It's what I'm kind of deducing from just everything is that they were just out there, just kind of like raising some hell. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're probably drinking, you know, the dogs. I don't know if the dogs were on a leash. We've gone off the details we've got right now.
Yeah.
There ain't no more details coming on. So
It's-
if you're watching this and you want to share more with us,
we would like
homie,
more details.
we'd like
on
more
it. And we have a bunch
details.
of questions.
And to even kind of be able to look into this to a certain extent. But going on what we have right now, it's pretty compelling. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty disturbing. It's an area where I don't think there's a lot of people at.
Mm-hmm.
And they were setting off fireworks, which are probably pretty novel for that area. They probably don't hear those sounds very often, and it pissed off whatever this was. And again, you know, let's just take fireworks going off. It's like kind of like the sound of gunfire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most animals don't run towards the sound of gunfire, you know.
But whatever this was, it evoked a aggressive response.
It came up to the tree line and then like waited and then did it and then fought the dogs. You know what I'm saying? They didn't see anything, you know. And as far as like a time goes, how long did this elapse? I don't know yet. We didn't get a lot of that information out of them. And you know, again, with something traumatic like that, it could have been, I don't know, 30 seconds. It could have been 3 or 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But the fact that the dogs are gone after this, and again, you know what? It's the lady saying, "Oh, I know my dogs would be there waiting for me." Maybe not. Maybe they just wait. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But at this case, at this point, the fact that it came closer when the fireworks were going off is weird to me.
Yeah.
And then that the animals were gone is weird to me, you know. Even if the dogs kind of like ran off for a while, I would think that maybe they would come back to the last spot they saw their owner.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
right?
they say that they yelled for them and everything, and nothing. There was nothing. Erebus said there was a similar story on Bigfoot Society
about dogs and campers.
I'm thinking so. Well, I've heard stories like this before, though.
I've heard stories like this before too, but this is I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We've gotten reports of things, you know, of dogs going.
Yeah, Michael Tovar says, what is it about Sasquatch specifically that I see on shows and hear on podcasts that they attack or kill dogs?
And again, that's the question. Is it doing it because it's removing a threat? It just doesn't like it. The dogs respond hostile, and then that's why the hostilities break out. I don't know, but that's what we were going to talk about tonight. Is that you run into two patterns of it real quick. You run into the animals, you know, the dogs. Let's just dogs for the most part are just terrified and they hide, even if they're pretty aggressive, large canines, or they go after it and it doesn't end well. And a lot of times whatever the creatures in question might be, it seems like they want to get the dogs out of the way, whether they're getting like an early alert system out or a means of protection. A lady in North Carolina, she said it was trying to get at her dog for a while. She felt that it was trying to get her dog, and it finally did.
So it targeted her dog specifically.
So I don't know. We're looking into it. Here, hold on. The one on Bigfoot Society, the dog was found up in a tree. Okay. And again, here's the deal: is that is it a thing of just a wild animal meeting an aggressive domesticated animal and they just go at it, or is there a plan to it? I need to remove this first. I need to remove this layer of defense or this
Some sort of
protection,
strategy
you
put
know.
into place.
So Smiling Sue asked, "If the fireworks scared the dogs, a lot run off during fireworks." The dogs were apparently with them until the dogs went after this, and then they could hear the sounds of it fighting.
Yeah. So I don't know if maybe the dogs were used to it or something.
And keep
like
in
that.
mind too, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. I'm sure it was chaotic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They hear these screams coming into the distance, and they're in the distance, and they just, what is that? You know, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. And there's no real fear or trepidation at that point. They're probably having a good time. They're setting off fireworks, you know, drinking, I don't know, whatever. But the account that we got is that when the scream went off really close, that's when the dogs went at it, and they heard the sound of the dogs fighting and then screaming. So that's just not dogs running off. There was, from at least according to him, a physical altercation between these two pit bulls and whatever that was in the tree line at that point.
Of course, Sam Burton is offering to go up there with Ace. That's a no until
that's
we
a
know
big
more,
no, Sam.
until
No,
we know what's going on
No.
with this. Yeah. But you know, you do hear about this a lot. There's that famous Bigfoot case where that guy called 911 where his dogs were thrown
killed my dog. Yeah,
killed
you
the
know.
dog.
So
and was thrown over the fence, you know. And I think that was probably targeting too. It was just like the lady in North Carolina, that whatever this was targeting those dogs to remove them. But this is kind of a head-on encounter, you know, maybe like a territorial dispute or something.
You know, and JD had said that the dogs ran into the woods, so the Bigfoot was defending itself. Possibly, I mean, again, possibly, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe the dogs are normally very aggressive. I don't know. Again, we're working with what information we got right now. And we have a partial story, but here's what that's what we know. They went into this particular area. They had fireworks, 4 of them, none of them really that woods savvy. 2 pit bulls. I don't know how long she'd had the pit bulls. I don't really know anything. Full-grown pit bulls is all we know. And the story we just told you, the fireworks, whatever it was, made something angry. And instead of going away, it came closer and then had an altercation with the dogs, and the dogs are gone after the dogs began screaming, according to him.
Yeah.
Not
and
barking.
he used that word, scream.
Yeah, screaming.
But that spurred a conversation between us about what are other instances where it seems like livestock or pets have been predated upon by supposed cryptids or things that are mysterious animals. There were a few cases in Kentucky a few years ago that really caught our attention. We were working on a project a while back focusing on Kentucky, where we were looking at possible Kentucky werewolf incidents.
Yeah, because there were
aside from the LBL.
Yeah, and you've got it seems like every few miles you've got a different werewolf legend in Kentucky. Waddy werewolf, Barilla, the Gateway werewolf, and what was that back in like 2012, 2011, 2013?
So I've got one here. I've got some notes for it here just so I get these numbers right on these animals. So in May of 2013 in Shelby County, Kentucky, this was speculated to be the Waddy werewolf. At least 10 animals were viciously attacked in the Shelby area. Goats, cattle, donkeys, dogs, all were attacked. According to the deputy county judge executive, it's not doing it to kill the animal to eat. These animals are just being mauled. That's where the mystery is at this point. So you have all kinds of animals just being mauled and not eaten at all. So this is not.
Just said the same thing. He had one of his many donkeys, neck twisted around, and nothing had fed on it. So
I mean, you could say, is this a thrill kill or something like this?
I don't know. I mean, it's just weird, and like I said, so it's not like right next to where the hiker stories with dogs have taken place, but it ain't. In the grand scheme of things, if you looked on a map of the United States, it ain't that far. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that far. So that's the other thing we've got, is that something out there has some pretty bad run-ins with canines, and but nobody's seen it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Some more information on that Waddy werewolf situation is local animal control director Rusty Newton stated that he had received several reports of unidentified large black hairy shapes around the same time of the attacks. Newton was also quoted as saying, "These attacks don't resemble any animal attacks that I have ever seen. These animals look like they were mutilated for fun, just for the sake of being tortured."
So that's Kentucky, you know what I'm saying? And that was repeated several times there. The animals weren't fed on. It seemed like it was a malicious type of killing. A lot of times there'd be a lot of disagreement between the authorities, between animal control, fish and wildlife, sheriff's department on what would have caused it or what could have been it. I know in one case, and I can't remember which one, Fish and Wildlife was going, it's a mountain lion. You know what I'm saying? We've got a mountain lion just passing through, no breeding population here, but we've got a mountain lion, and the sheriff's department's going,
Yeah.
this ain't a mountain lion. Whatever this was had hands.
Yeah.
This has to be a person doing something strange to this. And then Fish and Wildlife's going, well, these are bite marks and claw marks. And the sheriff's department's going, I don't care what the wounds were made by. I can tell you how they were made. It's not a mountain lion. Mountain lion ain't doing this. You know what I'm saying? Mountain lion doesn't have thumbs. And I'm just sitting there going, does anybody hear this? I mean, does anybody just sit here and go, well, damn, it sounds like you guys are talking about something with fangs and claws that also has thumbs and apparently stands upright. Well, damn, what is that? We are in Kentucky after all.
And then just like all of these other animal attacks, it just goes away.
Yeah.
It just completely goes away. That was Monroe County, Kentucky. It was 3 horses and 2 pit bulls. So there you got another 2 pit bull situation.
Yeah. And, and the pit bulls are, we had a pit bull that was the most docile animal you'd ever met in your entire life.
So
I'm having some computer problems too.
Yeah, I saw your computer was glitching out. We had a pit bull that was like the sweetest thing you'd ever seen. He was just the most docile creature in the world. But he was a dog that I grew up with, but his dad was actually very, very protective. And what's really, really bizarre about, if anybody has ever had a pit bull that has actually gotten in a fight with another animal, our dog's father actually had gotten into a altercation with a chow dog, and there was blood everywhere. So it's really bizarre that you have 2 pit bulls encountering some sort of creature and there's no sign of anything going on. There's no blood. There's nothing. This was just two fights. This is just a fight between 2 dogs, and it was a bloodbath. It was terrible.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that when predation occurs in nature, it's not clean. You know what I'm saying? It's not clean. Predators don't like sneak up behind prey and then do the old hand over the mouth neck snap thing you see in spy movies and then just drag them away into the bushes. It's pretty messy. And I would think that anyone, especially somebody who is motivated to find out what happened to their pets, which
I know I would be. I mean, I would be out there all the time looking for
going into this area, into the spot where they saw the dogs disappear where the sound came from. You would think that they'd find some sign of it. So I don't know. And I'm going, well, there's not a lot of people up there. Look at all of the elements that take place in this. They were there in a spot where there's really not a lot of people at ever. They had dogs with them. They had fireworks with them. I'm not saying that has never happened up there before, but it's probably not happening all the time up there.
But those 2 elements are usually like deterrents for stuff, Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, you would think that would chase off most regular wildlife. Pit bulls aren't small dogs. And these were full-grown pit bulls. I don't know how big, but they were full-grown apparently. So, so I don't know at this point. I mean, we're just now getting into this, and it's pretty crazy. Jaeger said 2 dogs and 1 big something and no trace. That's the weirdest part. Yeah, if it wasn't for, even when just the fireworks and the screams came closer, we would be like, oh, that's interesting. And if it was like a slow couple of weeks, we might look into that, But with the dogs going missing with no sign, because right now I'm saying just take everything at face value. Everything that he told us is true. What are you going to say? They got into a fight with that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like something picked them up, carried them off. but I don't know. It's just bizarre. The whole thing's bizarre. And then the fact that the communication just went, somebody's so eager to kind of share and try to get answers, then all of a sudden quiet. But again, we've seen that before.
Of course, we've seen that many, many times. Cryptid Kentucky says, have a good friend that lived in Waddy for over 20 years. And during the time of those attacks, some, not all, neighbors didn't believe it was anything odd. Others said different.
Mm-hmm. And you could see that on like the reports that made it online, that some people were, but the people that said nothing odd, I mean, you know, coyotes attack livestock, coyotes attack pets, you know.
But you also have that barrier, you know, that barrier that nobody, even if you have all the evidence right in front of you,
you're still going to
say it's something mundane. It has to be, you know, Occam's razor. It has to be something completely mundane. That there's no way that there's any sort of strange supernatural force out here, whether it be a cryptid or anything like that, that there's just no possibility that that's even going to enter their mind whatsoever.
So we're looking at how to investigate this. After a good rain, you know, we might go out there and set some light fireworks off. You know what I'm saying? We've been talking about doing that for a while in certain areas.
Yeah, we've had quite a drought though.
So we can't do it now. But if we get a good rainy spell for a bit, that might be something we look into doing.
See, this is the kind of experiment that I really like. One that I can have explosives with. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, blow some stuff up. So, but again, like I said, we don't have a dog, and I'm not taking somebody's dog up there. Even if we did have a dog, I don't know if I'd take my dog up there. You know, I don't mind putting us in danger, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to possibly put, you know, a dog in danger who doesn't have the ability to kind of know what's going on and make that judgment for themselves. So I don't know. It's just, we're going to, coming from the man, how big of fireworks would you like? But so I don't know. And like I said, I mean, as we may not get any more information, we might have an email waiting for us by the time we get done with here. And that would be awesome if we did.
Yeah, that would help a lot. That's weird. We get emails all the time, and we get all kinds of strange stories.
Excuse me.
You know, and we talked about this last week, that it seems like there's this rise in activity. And I think that this incident is kind of part of that too, you know, because you don't hear a lot about these aggressive interactions.
Yeah, and Rage of JT said coyotes are an invasive species. Yeah, we've got coyotes here. They can be dangerous and organized in numbers. And yeah, and coyotes will attack dogs. And you know what? If there had been a sign of a fight, and who knows, we could investigate this area more in depth and eventually just walk around a bunch of bushes and find evidence of what happened and be like, yeah, there you go. But again, I go back to this, they basically had to, like, you know, they didn't drag her out of there, but they had to finally get the owner out. So she was obviously up there beating the bushes, and they were in the area where the dogs ran to and the sound came from. So I don't know at this point. I don't know. It might be, I just don't know. I don't know. It's weird though. It's kind of dark. There's not a lot of people in that area, that particular area. I don't know.
And it's also, you got to think about this too. It's not a person getting killed. So if this has happened before, you're not going to hear about it. There's not going to be a news story or a report or anything like that about a dog getting killed. You know, if a person was dragged off into the woods, that's one story. But if it's someone's pet, someone's dog or something like that, that's not going to go on the radar whatsoever. So this could have been something that's happened before. This is just the first time we've heard of an incident like this.
Or it could be the first time that people went up there with fireworks, dogs, who didn't leave the moment they heard something like that. You know what I'm saying? Other people might have heard that scream and just gone, you know what, maybe I don't want to camp so much after all. So I don't know. Excuse me.
Are you okay?
I don't know. There's a summer cold going around the area right now. I'm hoping I ain't getting that. So
we're early on in the case. We're trying to kind of figure out the ins and outs of everything on it right now. So we just want to kind of share that with you guys, because it's a weird one. It's kind of it's kind of a bizarre one. And, you know, there could be a mundane explanation.
There
I
might very
guess.
well be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just like with any of this, until you have a direct sighting of whatever you're dealing with, unless you have like a class A sighting, I saw a Bigfoot, I saw a dogman, you can't say, oh, this is exactly what happened. We're still kind of going off of some inferences here. But it is a very, very bizarre story with just out of nowhere vanishing. It's like, is there a missing 411 for dogs? You know?
I don't know. Well, I mean, here's the deal. You heard they just didn't vanish. There was a fight. And then from the sounds of it, the fight didn't go too well, at least at the end, and then nothing. So I don't know if that would qualify as like a missing 411 thing or not. It sounds like the dogs fought whatever it was. The fight didn't. And that's the other thing too, is I don't have a time frame of how long. It couldn't have been like an hour, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you know? I mean, I wouldn't think they'd stand there in shock for 5 minutes, you know? I think maybe like a minute, 2 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe even less. I don't know. But this would be so much easier if we were to get more answers for it. And if we knew what the personal reasons were for not attacking, you know, for contacting the authorities like that. Simply Market asked, can you guys tell me the percentage average, how much more new sightings or encounters are happening? Just in our own little slice of the world, let's take into account that we have a higher profile, so we're hearing from more people now than maybe we were before. 25 ballpark at 25%. And it's all because we're getting contacts with a lot of recent stuff, a lot of new stuff happening. It's not, hey, 12 years ago, my friends and I were camping. We still get those, but we're getting a ton of new stuff.
And we're starting to get more and more, more recent stuff.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these people will talk to us. They had experiences in the past, but we're starting to get more recent stuff, which is kind of weird.
Scarborough Sasquatch Station. What state have you investigated probably had the most cryptid activity? Georgia, probably.
Yeah, Georgia.
Ray
asked, she's asking because she emailed us and we have not gotten back to her. We have a very full inbox. It is super full, but we will try to get to your email. I will look for that and double check that today and get back to you on your email about that. So. Yeah,
what's happened is that our email has blown up and we were having a problem for a while. Somebody was signing us up for a lot of spam stuff. It was legit signed up for spam stuff with our email, and that's clogged it up a lot. So you go in, you got your new emails at the top.
And then you've got 500 sales emails.
And then you're trying to go through and get through them. So our email is in tatters right now. It's just shambles. So we'll have to go through and see if we can try to find it. Right. All right. Let's see.
Reverend PC says, could the cryptid use infrasound to stun the dogs and then carrying them off?
Not infrasound. If it had been infrasound, the intensity and the power behind that would have just, it wouldn't have been. Now, I'm not to say that they didn't use something to stun the animals at the end. And who knows what that would have been? You know what I'm saying? You know,
this always goes back to this infrasound discussion is something is happening because there are people who are experiencing something.
I just don't think it's infrasound.
But we don't think it's infrasound. But people are experiencing something, just don't have an idea of what the heck it is. Everybody's saying it's so hot.
Oh yeah. Everybody's kind of everybody's wilted at this point, man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what else we got here. Michael X, they were talking about, Kathy had asked earlier, I think, about the bison at LBL. Did you have that starred?
I think I did.
Been any rumors or reports of the dogman on LBL going after the elk or bison? Yes.
So when we were up there, when we did the werewolf experiments, we found a trail of bones leading up to that little shack on top of that hill. Some of those were sizable. Some of those appeared to be bovine. And the only place you're going to find that on the peninsula is bison, in the bison enclosure. But the bison are kept separate from, they're not allowed to just roam around. They are within a fenced area. But yeah, there have been stories of that too. You have a story of that, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, the one that, to talk what you were talking about, we found a bone and people went, that's bovine.
Yeah.
And I'm going, farms around here,
No.
where the cow got lost and then, got out and just kind of wandered in here and died of old age. And even a small juvenile bison, that's a big animal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that area that we found those bones in is not right next to the enclosure.
No, it's miles away from the enclosure.
So I don't know, but there are constant rumors that, that these things predate upon. I've heard it mostly with the bison, not so much the elk, but we've heard that. And I've heard generally that it's juvenile, like, younger bison that these things like predate upon. So, oh, I had this from earlier. Jeremy Anderson, there's some weird stuff coming out of my side of town in Anderson.
Oh.
Are you, what state are you in, Jeremy, if you're still on here? What state is your Anderson in? So, all right.
Marina Crew asks, Jesse and Joe, when are you guys going to write a book on your adventures and exploits? I would love to have one and your autograph. We have talked about this. We've talked about this a good bit. It's finding time to do that. And I think that perfection is the enemy of productivity when it comes to
just getting anything out. So
when it comes to that specifically, because we keep going back to these areas and new things keep happening. And I feel like once you put it in a tome, that puts kind of a nail in that coffin, So I feel like with some of the stuff that we're doing, we have these ongoing investigations that we've been doing for years, and we're continuing to do those. North Georgia, LBL, all of that. We've been doing these for years, and I just feel like we don't have the whole story yet to put that down. I think that that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of it. Is I feel like if I did that, I wouldn't have the whole story yet to put out there.
Yeah, but at the same token, you may never have the whole story.
That's true.
You may never have the whole story.
You are correct. You are correct. There you go.
Get in touch with us, Jeremy. Roll the email.
Yeah, roll that beautiful bean footage.
We actually talked about you without mentioning your name, but we talked about, did we talk about him on the show one night? Like right after that? How like just crazy, like just the serendipity of it. You know what I'm saying? The synchronicity, I guess is the better word that I'm looking for. Anyway.
Oh yeah, because like when those trees came down in our yard, with one of the guys that was actually our clearing the road, he's like, wait, are you Jesse? Joe? I was like, oh crap, yeah. It's just weird how everybody has like a Dogman story or a Bigfoot story
or a story of something
a
even
ghost
stranger.
Story,
so
or just some kind of weird thing, and you bring it up to people, and at first they kind of look at you weird, and then they kind of think about it, and then they kind of pull it out.
Why haven't you done a hunt and put it up for us to watch? Have you seen our channel?
That's
pretty much what I can't say half of it anymore. But all right, let's see.
Everybody's on the slow mode today.
Everybody is on the slow mode. We're not going to go too terribly long tonight. We wanted to get a show out now. So I don't know. I mean, so that's where we're at with this case. And obviously, anytime you get cases like this, you want to, it's easy to kind of like over sensationalize them. Okay. Which we don't, I mean, it's gruesome. You don't want to like ignore it. You don't want to ignore the basic facts of what happened. If this happened the way this guy's explaining it, that's weird. Something happened, and that's an area where we need to get into and look into in depth. I don't want it to be like really overly gruesome. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to like, overly gruesome it. Is that a word? Overly gruesome it, but sensationalize it. So
somebody mentioned earlier about the Corey Godsey case. He was asking if it rang a bell. I thought I started that.
Yeah, I took it. It's hard to talk about that one.
Yeah.
There's so much family drama that went on online with that. And then the fact, just the case itself.
Yeah. And you don't want to speculate on a YouTube channel that someone's loved one was.
But I've heard everything from that there was those were pets from the family or a neighbor of the family. And I've heard that all that went online to kind of cover it. I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know what's up it. So, um,
It's more of that convolution.
yeah. So,
Oh yeah. I seen you guys on Small Town Monsters. That was super cool. Yeah. Small Town Monsters just released Dogman Territory, and it's everybody seems to be really enjoying it. It was kind of the culmination of all this work that we did in the LBL over the past few years. We've been boots on the ground in the LBL for years at this point. We started out going up there kind of on a lark.
mhm.
And we describe that in the film. We kind of talk about how we kind of ended up there and how it just kind of grew and evolved and developed over the years.
I kind of feel a similar evolution starting with this particular case we're talking about.
Yeah.
I
You
feel
like we're
I,
opening a door.
I feel like kind of like in retrospect, kind of what I felt like as we started to really look into the Dogman stuff and how that just ended up being more real and much larger than what we originally anticipated.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling with this one that, and again, I'd be completely wrong. I ain't the most intuitive person on the face of the planet. It would be helpful to get more information from the gentleman.
But you never know where these cases are going to lead.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know what was going to happen with LBL, and look at how many years later
Mhm.
we're doing this.
Mhm.
But yeah, that film, it's I think it's one of Seth's best films. It makes the LBL scary again. It really brings back that it reminds you that the LBL is a scary place, that there are
Mhm.
mysteries out there.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people are starting to go out there, so it's I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are looking into it, but it's been years of kind of unraveling this crazy story.
Mm-hmm. When are you guys getting back out into the field? We're in the field constantly. The investigation videos we release are predicated upon anything happening interesting. I mean, we could just release something of us just wandering around in the woods, but and we've released stuff that, some stuff's happened more on some investigations than others. Sometimes we've just had some minor stuff that's up for debate. Sometimes we've had some stuff that's pretty major, but we're out there. It's just that we're not in control of the situation. It's we can't force we can't force whatever is out there to show itself or interact or do whatever.
Force the phenomenon.
Yeah, we cannot force the phenomenon. So
Paul Sherman asks, sorry I'm late. Did you do a knife check yet?
no, we've not actually. So
We have not.
I have an old Gerber Mark I. It's weird because I had one of these as a kid and it seemed so huge as a kid, and now it seems so small.
I think you got a little bigger.
I might have grown a little bit.
You might have grown a little bit.
But that is from our buddy Denim Devil. Had sent that to me, and just a cool little blade, man. So
I have one of my signature blades. This is a Papa Bear knife.
He goes by Primitive Bear
But
Knives.
he's Primitive Bear now, which I like better because he's got a really cool bear skull on there with the PBK. But I like Primitive Bear better.
Yeah.
But it's got that awesome holler orange and then a camo sheath for it. But that is always on my belt. If you guys watch our videos, I'm assuming you do. But it's always on my belt right there. It's always my knife I have right there. I used to carry an SE3 all the time. That was my signature blade forever, but it's been replaced by this one. So, but that's always on my utility belt when I'm out in the woods.
Couple quick things that came through that I started while we were talking about that. First off, Paul Sherman, thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Paul Sherman.
Right, that came through right as we were doing the knife check. Thank you. Yeah, and this knife, I'll actually put a link to Papa Bear. He used to go by Papa Bear. Now he's Primitive Bear, but he does custom knives in South Carolina. He's great, man.
Yeah, his stuff is amazing.
He sent this we each got one, and it's such a cool little knife, man. It's what the sign of a good knife maker is. A knife will feel good no matter what size your hands are. I mean, I've got extra large hands, and Jesse's got extra small hands, and both of us, we have matching knives for it, and they're just phenomenal. But did that come through? Or I put that in there?
I'm trying to get through the chat right now.
So, Uncle Tovar, in your research, anything about cattle mutilations? We don't get a lot of what you would term cattle mutilations, like in the Skinwalker Ranch or what you experience in like Texas. There was some cases of cattle being attacked. Remember the Wampus cat cases we were getting?
Yes.
Um,
That was a guy that I knew. He
Yeah.
has a property out.
he had like what 140 acres.
It's in Cherokee County, Cherokee County, South Carolina, and he has a bunch of property out there. And they have a cattle farm. They were having a bunch of the calves were getting killed, and so they put a trap out there.
They put traps out for them.
Yeah.
And they found the traps mangled up.
They
like just
found
bent all
and
up.
it was steel trap cages,
Yeah.
and they were mangled up. Yeah.
So, but not really a lot of like what you would consider like, let's just say that are usually kind of tied into UFO type activity.
That's where
You
like
don't
the
really see
wounds
like
are
the-
super precise. You have
Yeah.
organs removed. It looks like the wounds are very smooth or cauterized sometimes, a very
Mhm.
precise instrument or removed by laser or something like that.
So we've never really gotten any of those, at least in this area. We've heard people get in contact with us saying, hey, this is on my property. Not a lot of those though.
Yeah.
But we do get where something attacked my cattle, something attacked my horses, something attacked my pets. So we get those at this point. So Unda Kuva Matha, you made the movie even though it would have been as awesome without all your knowledge and input. Thank you. Yeah, we had a ball doing it. We had a ball doing it with everybody that we did it with. It was great. Like I said, we were really happy to kind of take part in that because I think that's the definitive work on the LBL.
Yeah, I think so too.
And like I said, it's weird because the LBL has been such a mixed bag for us. Just like anytime there's an area that's well known and there's multiple people like investigating that, you always have clashes and there's personal weirdness and drama and whatnot. So it's always been kind of a mixed bag. And I'll be honest with you, I was just kind of going, I don't even know if we really want to be involved in this, but we think the world of like Seth and Alex and Aaron D's and the crew. So we went and did it, and we so ecstatic with the way it came out.
It's weird about the LBL. Every time we are leaving, we're like, we are never coming back here.
And then,
we're done.
bam.
And then it brings us back in.
Yeah. The manor footage we still have. We're trying to figure out what to do with it.
I can't release that to the public.
Can't release it. We can't even do it privately on YouTube. We're trying to figure out if that needs to be on a different platform or what. How we just got to figure out how to do that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know, it's weird. And it ended up not being what we expected it to be. We expected it to be more of like I don't know. It as it kind of developed, it ended up kind of taking us in a direction we didn't expect with how we kind of thought of the area, what we kind of experienced and all that. So it's really weird. It's going to take a while for Jesse to edit that together probably, but we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of editing like 3 things right now.
Yeah.
So I need to finish up one and then get around to the manor footage because I want to tell the story,
Yeah.
But the story's so spicy that it's hard to get that out via.
It's spicy and it's so polarizing. You have people on opposite sides of it, opposite sides of the story. And I don't think either one of those sides really captured what happened out there. Do you know what I'm saying? So Sean Collins, I heard there's lots of white vans in the LBL lately. Possibly. We've never really seen, people were constantly telling us that there were white vans like everywhere, government vans and all that.
The last time we went up, people were talking about that constantly.
And we didn't really see anything.
And we didn't see any whatsoever.
Now keep in mind, we're not on the roads much. So we usually get in there, find a place to park, and then we're in the woods on foot. So obviously we're not on the roads as often as a lot of people are. So we have less opportunity to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is a constant ongoing story for them.
Ross Duran, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ross Duran. We appreciate that. Annabelle Michael. Thank you so much, Michael and Ross. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
StreamYard is having trouble today.
Yeah, we got a little message that StreamYard is struggling, and it's YouTube. That's why I checked at the beginning. YouTube looked a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got some like crazy solar flares going on. Rage of JT, like I said in the last live stream, you two have the most compelling picture of what people describe a dogman to look like. I always go back to this, and I have people about once a week. It's a stump, it's a hog, it's a coyote, it's a this, it's a that. And I'm going, none of those explanations make sense. I can't say it's a dogman. I will say that it's something living, over 6 feet tall, acting in a predatory manner.
With very pronounced ears.
Very pronounced ears and a snout. You can see an eye in one thing. It ain't a stump.
And there's 2 images.
Yeah, and there's 2, and I don't know. The things that we saw, and we don't really talk about those that much. We mention them occasionally, but we've seen upright things in the LBL very quickly, so quickly that if I hadn't, mine at least, Jesse's seen them twice, I've seen it once. If what I saw moved a branch, but what I also saw, it ran and it went over an area that dips, and it didn't seem like it went down. And I'm going, well, if it's physical, it's got to follow the lay of the land, but it didn't seem to do that. But it moved the branches when it hit them. And that did not appear canine to us.
Yeah,
that's to me, that looked like something out of the friggin' Dungeons and Dragons.
We don't talk about that because it's I think it's even too weird for maybe most people that are interested in this subject. It's the LBL, so everybody,
and we don't have footage of it.
Everybody wants to know about the Dog Man and the Beast of LBL. But I saw it twice, you saw it one time. It's something else.
And then what we're talking about is that thing where was it the second LBL video where I took running after it? And I'm just going, I'd swear I thought it ran around a building and I thought I was going to run up on it. Wasn't there. And again, that thing ran and I kind of turned my head to see it. And it just, when I say fast and fluid, it didn't even seem real. It almost seemed like if this was like a creature shaped laser pointer on something and just how it just blurred.
It's like it goes past,
it blurred,
like
but it didn't. And then when I ran over there, I'm realizing there's a depression there where whoever had that building was using it as like a garbage heap, and it goes down, and it didn't go down when it went over that. It just floated over it or something like that. I don't know, but it moved the branches. The branches were still moving that it brushed up against. And then just describing it to each other, we're going, I think we saw the same. And Jessie saw it when we found that tent, and that's where she like sets down and has, do you have a real, I don't know if those things are,
I saw it at both of those locations where we saw those tents, where there are unmarked grave sites. So I don't know if there's
and it does not look anything like what we caught on the thermal.
No.
There's no ears on this thing. There's no big ears and there's no snout. And it's long, like limbs that seem like there's extra joints in them or something. And it's just,
and then just blackness, darker than.
But you can make out some detail just quickly. I wish I could draw. You know what I'm saying? Because I could just set and just sketch lengths and just, but it looks so awkward, but it moves so quick. And that's what's making me think, I always go back and forth on that. And I'm always just like, is this what you always hear, like an interdimensional, like bleed over? Did I just get a glimpse of something that ain't here all the time? And I'm just seeing it just breathe. I don't know. It
caused a huge visceral response in me. I couldn't breathe. I had to sit down. It gave me an adrenaline dump. It was insane.
It feels wrong. Yeah. And I always go, is there more? People are seeing Dogman. Martin Groves has seen Dogman. People have seen Dogman on the LBL. There's Bigfoot in the LBL if there's Bigfoot anywhere. There's a lot of like UFO activity, paranormal activity. I don't know what you would classify these things as.
I definitely think the LBL is one of those window areas.
Like a goblin or something like that. Like a long, lanky goblin is what it just seems like something I'm going, this is just something that doesn't move. And it's so weird.
Very unnatural.
It's so weird because I've never really talked about it, but remember when the jellyfish UAP was out for something? And I'm not saying that it looked like the jellyfish UAP. Maybe it's just those long, gangly tendrils underneath it. But I just went, God, that kind of reminds me of that thing running. But this thing moved. You see the limbs going, and it just seems like right outside of time. I don't know. I don't even have what you'd call it. I don't know if anybody else has ever seen anything like that in there before. Maybe people have seen a glimpse of it, and they just go, Bigfoot or Dogman.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
Default to that.
I don't know. Thank you for that, Cynthia. Thank you so
Cynthia.
much. We greatly, greatly appreciate that. And then that's followed up by Boy Hawk for fuel for your investigation. We're gonna have to be. I think you had mentioned, or somebody else had mentioned, getting a portable AC unit for like an investigation. Just strap one on my back.
I would love that. They do have those little ones you can put around your neck.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for that, buddy. We appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Did you miss Michael Tovar earlier?
What?
Thank you, Jesse and Joe.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I thought I got him. So we're running on steam tonight, man. The heat is like hitting us, man. All right. I'm gonna keep going on.
My parents came to visit today for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
Hawk. Yes, we do need a portable AC. And it doesn't matter. And like if you watched any of those lives from the URI, I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can be in. I was in like a workout top, and I was just pouring sweat. There's nothing you can do. You're hiking, you're carrying all this gear, and it feels like you're in a dang oven.
All right. Yes, I do remember those pics, Hog. I do. I don't think I ever showed you those pics, Jess. So,
Will you
All
show
right.
me after the show?
Yeah, I'll pull them
Okay.
up after the show. So, all right, let's see what else.
Rage of JT said it's clearly not a stump. There was a few people that said that is a stump decay.
Well, I mean, wood will decay, and when you're
it'll put off heat, but not that much heat.
and sometimes trees will get warmed up by the sun, and especially in the fall and winter.
Mm-hmm.
This is the night before midsummer night in like an extremely hot Kentucky. That's not decay. That's something given off a lot more. We always talk about this. We'd been looking at deer earlier. There's a power line cut right down from that. There was deer feeding in this power line cut. And we got a good thermal imager. You know what I'm saying? It was a good thermal imager. That's the one. And we've talked about that on the documentary. That was we ordered right before we left. We ordered this thermal imager. We used going to the LBL as an excuse to buy this thermal imager that we've been looking at for a while. So we ordered that. We were afraid we weren't even going to get it in time. And we were trying to figure out who we could come and get it off our porch. So that way it wasn't, sitting there for like, 2 weeks until we got back.
Yeah.
And we got it like right before we went. So we're there and we're messing around with it. We're trying to look at these deer and it's so hot. I mean, it's so hot that it was difficult to kind of see the deer against the background until they got kind of like against the sky. Then they really stood out. Whatever this was giving off a tremendous amount of body heat, much more than it was a larger difference between the surroundings and that than it was between the surroundings and the deer. It's hot. Whatever it was hot. And it was moving and it was tall. So, yeah. And the fact that it was gone, it was just, and we took the Small Town Monsters.
Stump ran away.
We took the Small Town Monsters crew there. Now, mind you, this is like a couple years later, but there's a gully like right there. There's just it's not a stump. I don't know what it is. I've never said we got a thermal of a dog man, but we did get a thermal of something that at least has some of the same features, defining features as a dog man.
I was going to find the pic and put it up here.
JD, I did not get that. Messenger, matter of fact, I needed to because I went and checked it today, as a matter of fact. When Messenger went to that end-to-end encryption thing, everything's screwed up for me as far as that goes. So if you could resend that again, we'll try to get it. I got a weird message on that saying something to the effect of like, this message was sent before your device was added to end-to-end encryption and the message is not available. And I did not meant to email you back and I did not. So
what's crazy is it is just nothing but just lately it seems like it's just chaos when it comes to
any sort of technology, man.
Yeah. Like everything. I know it's been a real slow news week and all, but
but
it's just chaos everywhere. Like it is just, I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it's everybody's going mad from the heat.
It's weird.
The sunspots are causing the technology.
Well, we talked about this before that everybody's so geared up for Halloween, like already.
Oh, the women are crazy.
The Starbucks crowd is just already
the Starbucks crowd. Excuse me.
Yeah, you're part of that Starbucks crowd. It's just already so geared up for Halloween, and I'm going. I don't remember in years past. I know the holidays. They put holiday stuff out earlier every year, but I don't remember everybody going into like a Halloween frenzy right after the 4th of July. In any previous year, it's like everybody's just into it. Everybody's just so done with summer, done with the heat. The heat's driving everybody crazy. We were having trouble with cameras overheating. And I'm just going, man, usually that's when we're out in the sun, and this is at night and I'm having trouble with like cameras dumping heat. So, all right.
Hawk coming in again.
Would
love to be just a fly on the wall when Joe starts talking.
It's all babble. It's all just babble. So thank you for that, my friend. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, my friend. Appreciate it. That'll buy me some headphones so I can just tune it out at that point.
A little cough, man.
Yeah, but this is the end. It's
This,
over
this
with
is
now.
the end.
Roster Ann asked. Oh, sorry. Did you put something up?
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
Roster Ann asked, do you think Dogman is a skinwalker or something different?
Well, do you want to answer? Or do you want to go?
We can. I don't think it's a skinwalker. I think, and then a lot of people get really up in arms about using the terminology skinwalker.
If it's something that is, I mean, and I understand that that's based upon, it's regional. That's a regional term.
It's a Navajo term, but I think the concept is more universal than just the Navajo. I
just hear skinwalker and I think witchcraft based.
Yes.
Shape changing or making somebody think that the shape has changed at that point.
And I think you need to be able to label what you're talking about. And I think that's the closest label that you can find.
Yeah. And I don't get too hung. One of my pet peeves is
policing language
like that. Like we always get people that are just like, oh, they're not werewolves. Werewolves do this. I'm like, how the hell do you know what werewolves do? I don't know what werewolves do. I don't know what dogmen do. I mean, you've got a collection of stories on the internet. If you think you got a pattern, keep looking. You're going to find something that throws your pattern off. But when we talk to people who've seen these creatures, 9 times out of 10, more than that, I saw a werewolf. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I saw a werewolf. I saw a werewolf. Nobody knows what the hell a dog man is unless you're like involved with this stuff pretty hardcore. You just don't hear that term that often. So I don't think that it's well, let's break this down. I don't think that it's a shape changer, but that would explain where they go to the rest of the time when they ain't being seen. I've thought about that before. What if Bigfoot has some sort of shape changing? I mean, that's crazy, I know, and I don't think that's the case.
Now, would they shift into a person or they shift into like a tree?
No, where they shift like into a person. A person shifts into them. Maybe there's a subspecies of mankind that they every so often shift into a large hairy primate and they go to the woods away from everybody to do this so they're not found, and then that's what people are saying. That's why there's no bodies. That's why you don't find a breeding population.
Like a weresquatch.
Weresquatch, yeah. So I mean, that doesn't make, I don't think that, before people start railing into me, but that thought experiment answers some questions, doesn't it? So
did you hear what Joe from Hellbent Holler thinks?
He thinks that they're turning into like some sort of hairy and would actually, there was a superhero called
Beast.
No, there was a superhero. There was a Bigfoot superhero from was he called Sasquatch? I can't remember. But he would turn like the Incredible Hulk, but he would turn into a Bigfoot. So, all right. What else we got? Soda Pop says Bigfoot lives in dark caves in the Appalachians. We got a cave guy, and he has not.
We got a cave guy,
and he has not come across Bigfoot in caves yet. You would think that, yeah. All right. But yeah, like I said, as far as like language goes like that, I mean, I'll see. We've talked about this case before.
Well, this is a good one.
We'll start. I'm gonna roll here.
Edward Kiernan says, "I know where they breed," but then you can go on, Carol.
Anyway, we had if our buddy from Cryptid Response is on here, I haven't seen him tonight, but when I say he was the one who originally spoke to these people, and we were just kind of like involved on a secondary level. He was the one that did most of the interviews with them, but this guy was going into cryptid groups saying, I'm seeing these things. I don't know what they are. And he described them as long and lanky with a skull face and antlers.
Oh, that was a wild story.
People like ripped into him going, that's cultural appropriation. There's no Wendigo this far south. This is just da-da-da-da-da. And the guy's going, I don't even know what that is. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And they kicked him out of all these groups. Our friend from Cryptid Response talked to him, interviewed him, brought us in to speak to him a little bit. And the guy was going, I've looked up a Wendigo. That's kind of, or no, I take that back. He said that he'd looked up a Wendigo and that was the closest approximation.
Yeah.
That's why they lit into him, because he had said, I think I've got like a Wendigo on my property. And people were going, oh, that's, it's cultural appropriation. You're not in the, you're not in the area for them. And he goes, I've just got.
This is what I'm seeing. I don't know what you.
I don't know what you're saying, but they just dogged him out and they tried to silence him. And the guy eventually was just like, they're wearing masks. They're these lanky, skinny, tall, hairy things that move super fast. And he goes, what I thought were skulls and antlers, they're wearing like deer and elk skulls as masks. I saw them without it.
And that's not the only time we've heard that described. That's not the only
time we've heard that's described. We've heard other people talk about seeing lanky Sasquatch coming out of spider holes hunting deer.
Working in tandem. One
working
would be in a spider hole, one would chase it, and they would be wearing these skull masks.
And stories like that were popular for a while, seeing Sasquatch in teams hunting like hogs or deer.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't never hear that with like the skulls and the antlers and all that. That's some sort of fetishism where like they're using like totem. I don't know. It's crazy, but we've heard that. You hear it once, it's just an interesting story. You hear it a second time.
Could you be dropping into like feral people territory at that point?
But the physical description on them was like very tall, extremely fast. But one guy said that they were so quick, it was sickening to look at them. It made him like sick. He just did. It seemed, and he couldn't really describe it. Like, all right, so what do you mean? Like it made me sick to like watch them move. Sickening. And that's one of the things that I always get like extremely interested in, that you're seeing something that's so foreign and so alien to your normal reality.
You have a visceral
response to it. So
Mr. Rem 7600 says, "Hey guys, greetings from Australia. Was there any further news on your audio recorder being switched off from the dark corner in South Carolina?"
We have it just turned off.
It just turned off.
It was turned off. The switch was turned off.
There was nothing on the audio.
Yeah, you can put the audio up if you want it. It's normal forest noises, and then the recorder just goes quiet because the switch was flipped. So you don't, but
there's no handling noise.
You know, that's what we should do is we should put the recorder down, and then I'll approach it, and then try not to pick it up, but try to turn it off.
Okay.
It's a switch that you've got to press up against, and it doesn't protrude very much.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have some force from the opposing side in order to be able to like get enough friction on it to turn it off. None of that. It didn't have handling noises or anything like that at all. It just something turned it off, and it's the weird.
It's like when we got that audio of those two things, that thing that was kind of growling and the thing that was kind of clicking.
What's weird is
you could hear it getting picked up.
You could hear the reporter getting kicked up and then drop back down. That's what I always just go on the face value. It's not the most shocking thing, but to me, it's one of the most perplexing things ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like something used like, I don't know. I don't even want to, like telekinesis to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? Just looked at it and mentally flipped the switch. It's a manual switch, man. It's mechanical. You got to switch. You just don't hit a button and it goes off. You have to switch it from off to, from on to off to on. And
that kind of adds a wrinkle to it, doesn't it? So like if something has like telekinesis, could it possibly?
I mean, I just threw that out there. I don't know if that's the case, but it is.
Well, you got MindSpeak.
Something I still think MindSpeak is tied into what people were reporting with the zapping effect. I'm still stuck on that. I still think that.
Because of the microwave effect?
The Frey effect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Microwave auditory phenomenon, where people can get hit with certain microwaves. And they discovered it when post-World War II, they would have people that were servicing radar on fighter planes, and the radar would like cause them to hear stuff in their heads. And supposedly Frey, the doctor that was like the scientist that was experimenting with it, could get it to the point where he could basically beam 7 or 8 words into somebody's head before the heat generated up too bad. And they were going, you can't use it for like mechanically induced telepathy because it'll boil their brains. And I'm going, maybe somebody's figured out the heat aspect of it, But I still think that MindSpeak, if it, I still think that there's a real good possibility that it's tied into the same thing that's causing the zapping effect.
Yeah.
And that we have so anytime I saw somebody that has been associated with the Bigfoot research, if you want to call it that, for a long time, dogging people out online on like a Facebook group, that you people are just scientifically unfounded. You can't believe in MindSpeak. It's scientifically impossible. And I'm just going, let's talk scientific impossibilities right now. You're telling them that it's scientifically impossible. Talk to me about the Frey effect, microwave induced, the microwave auditory phenomenon. Had no clue what it was. And I'm going, so you don't understand science. You don't understand what's been proven possible, but you're going to tell these people that they're not scientifically, they're not following the rules of science. I hate that. I hate when people start to beat people that are into the woo over the head with science. And I'm just going, a lot of what people talk about when it gets lumped under the woo, there are precedents set. We might not understand it. We might not really be able to replicate it to the degree that we might be able to one day, but Mind speak, there's a scientific precedent for it.
I mean, what was once sorcery is science today. So.
Exactly right. And guess what? And what science is kind of veering back into sorcery territory right now. So
I would like to welcome Fried Iceberg.
Fried Iceberg. All right, Fried Iceberg. Welcome to the members, my friend. So
kind of makes you want a grilled wedge salad, doesn't it?
Something cold, just a big pool-sized one, and just dive into it. So.
But welcome to the membership. There's
There's
lots of cool videos on there, and we do after shows for members after we do our video premieres. So you can join us for that on the next one that we do. But there's a lot of cool stuff to catch up on.
All right.
And your membership helps fund this project. It helps with equipment and all of the costs incurred with all of the equipment.
Somebody had said, did you have Mindspeak? I don't know if I'd call it Mindspeak. And I don't even know if that was just I always preface this, man. I always leave myself wiggle room because I hate people that just start spinning these narratives. And I'm going, how do you know that? Well, because no, man, tell me how so I can't say that I'm not comfortable with that idea. I'm still trying to get over it's hard for me to accept that a lot of this stuff is real that I used to not think is real. Totally cool with Bigfoot. Totally cool with Bigfoot.
So are you uncomfortable with that idea because you find it invasive?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I still have a hard time wrapping my head, even knowing that there's a scientific precedent for it. I am culturally predisposed to saying that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have to kind of get over that cultural predisposition to get over that. And I guess also too, that when I think Mindspeak, even though people who have experienced it, but explain to me what they experienced, my initial thing is still just like Professor X type stuff. I'm hearing fully formed sentences and words and somebody else's voice in my head. And that ain't what it was. This was just an errant thought that came out of nowhere that just hit me. And guess what? It could have been my own brain throwing that out there. I don't know. It was just odd enough for me and it was just so out of left field. It wasn't even where my mind was going with it. It was just weird. Having too much. We're not in any danger. They're having too much fun messing with us,
Surviving the Strange says, if it's impossible, they can take it up with Project Stargate. Joe Monagle, I listened to an interview with Joe Monagle, and he was talking about, he was one of the operatives for Project Stargate. Remote viewing is not as accurate as people would like to make you think it is. It's very difficult, takes a lot of training, and it's rarely accurate, but it does exist. It is provable. They have gone through it. There was a lot of money thrown at looking into remote viewing, but it's not as accurate as they want you to think it is. But even just a little bit over is enough, though, when you're talking about national security. But yeah, I mean, our government has funded a lot of projects that people would laugh at. And I think that Skinwalkers at the Pentagon is a good example of proof of that. You know, all of these people who talk about that they were funding research into Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, obviously, if we're throwing money at it, there's got to be some validity in some of the stuff that people just toss off as woo.
Again, like I said, and I'm pulling up, I'll put something out on the Frey effect too. And Martin Groves, I mean, amen on the Mindspeak. The physical effects that people report with the zapping effect, and then they report hearing words or just sometimes fully formed sentences. Sometimes I just got the impression of that's what it's trying to tell me. There's a scientific, again, I am fully accepting of the fact that there's stuff going on that science can't explain, but science can explain some stuff. And you have to kind of know what science can and can't explain before you can start dogging people out about it. Okay. Because they're claiming something has happened that's extraordinary. The analogy I was using to somebody last week is you've got a map. Okay. You got a map. It covers from here to here. You know what's going on in here. Now that map might not be complete, but it's pretty complete. You know what I'm saying? You can use it to move around, keep yourself from getting lost. You know what that map is. And then once that map ends, well, you're off the map. You don't know what's out there. Okay. Unless you have personal experience with it. But the map itself can't tell you what's there where the edge of the map, where it ends. But it give you a pretty good idea of what's going on there. Okay. And for a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of stuff that takes place inside the borders of that map that people that beat you over the head with a scientific explanation don't understand. Okay. And I just did, it's just so weird. You have to have a real cross spectrum education on this stuff.
Yeah.
You get like a wildlife biologist is not going to know what the fray effect is. Okay. And that's something that fascinates me. And I never understand why people don't talk about that much more. Because if you look at microwave auditory phenomenon,
I just don't think people are as thorough as you are.
as a crazy and obsessive as I am,
Yeah.
that don't sleep and just spend all of their time bouncing around from things like this. But again, supposedly with the experiments they did, they would get clicking and like, here's another thing that I think that you'll find interesting. Let's just connect a bunch of dots that we've kind of danced around a little bit. One of the things with the fray effect, these technicians that were working on this radar, this cacophonous metallic sound in their heads when the radar got turned on. What do you always hear about? I heard a metallic sound. I heard a metallic sound. I heard a metallic sound. And people keep telling me, oh, well, that's been recorded.
That's a good connection.
Yeah, that's a good connection. It's a great connection. All of it ties in together. This is going to be an episode I had kind of an outline for us to do.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, infrasound doesn't explain any of this stuff. However, thermoelastic expansion in your brain, something making your brain, your nerve cluster just go, does. It makes it go. If somebody has, or something has the ability to target specific areas of your brain, and this sounds, people are going to go, oh, he sounds like a tinfoil hat person. Maybe I do, but there's a scientific basis for a lot of this stuff that we just don't understand. Just because we don't understand it at this point, this is nowhere.
Doesn't mean it's not real.
But that's the Wikipedia for microwave auditory. I always call it microwave auditory phenomenon, but I think because map sounds better than like effect, but it explains so much of this stuff. If you have the ability to target the language centers of the brain, or what would basically a mechanical wave goes through the air, it vibrates the tiny little bones in your ear, okay? Goes in, hits that part of your brain, and that's translated into the sounds that you're hearing right now. Same thing with light. It hits, it goes down the optical nerve into your brain. Your brain basically translates all that into what you see in front of the big TV screen in front of your eyes. So we've done it crudely. They did it crudely after World War II. And I'd have to look at it. It's like early 60s is where they really started going into it. But we could crudely, 61. We could crudely do it in 61. Okay. What if there's something out there that can do it far more precisely than what we can do? It's the difference between a caveman boring into your skull with a sharpened rock to let the spirits out, and the best brain surgeon in the world going in with a laser scalpel and doing precise surgery on you. I always go back to this, that infrasound doesn't make any sense. You look at ionizing, non-ionizing radiation, RF fields, EMF fields, everything like that. You look at that, it starts to explain everything. It explains the zapping effect. It can explain cloaking. Maybe that particular part of your optical, what your mind's bringing in, is being blurred for whatever particular reason. And then the metallic sound. The metallic sound, obviously, the Tom Mesnick case. Mesnick?
Is Mesnick.
Case with missing 411.
Yeah.
Martin Grove's case.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in the past. People are reporting it. Now, I know most of these people don't have cameras or recorders with them, but I have not really seen.
Yeah, I'm yet to hear a recording of it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We've thought we have heard that before.
And I've never gotten it
on camera or audio recording.
Even when we have
maybe because
recorders.
that sound is not. That sound's
it's not happening in
the
environment.
It's happening inside your head. You know what I'm saying? And the cloaking effect is not happening in the environment. It's happening inside your head. So there you go. You heard it here first.
Welcome, Christina Cook, to the membership.
So when you hear other people within the next 2 weeks going, y'all ever heard of this fray effect? It's crazy, man. It explains everything.
You're microwaving your mind.
Just remember, July 15th, you heard it here first. Because, I've thought about it for a while, man. I've thought about it. And again, like I said, same token, we're the only Bigfoot dogman like researchers out there that have infrasound detection equipment. And I'll have people go, oh, well, I picked up infrasound with this recorder that I got off Amazon. I'm going, no, you didn't. It stops it. Your recorder did not record infrasound. What we have doesn't even record infrasound. There's no sound there to record. You're picking up
because you can't hear it.
You're picking up sound pressure levels.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it gives you a decibel reading for those sound pressure levels, only under 20 hertz. So, but I still say this: you and I might be out one day doing these experiments, and all of a sudden have splitting headaches and get nauseated. And I look down and I go, "Honey, the infrasound detector's off the charts right now." You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that's the case, and I haven't seen anything to tell me differently about this.
Cowboy 4572 says Joe is doing a good job of being thorough tonight. Seven Systems says Joe sweats the science, so we don't have to.
That's just the thing, man. Is that I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I'm curious, and I don't ever take anything at face value. If somebody tells me something, I'm going, "How do you know that?" Well, it's just because I read it online. I didn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? I didn't good enough. And then you just have to start, and you have to thoroughly research it, you know? And then when I can't find my car keys or my wallet or my shoes, because all of that knowledge has been driven out of this limited capacity head here. So Rufus Doofus, do you think cryptids migrate like animals do? We talked about this before a little bit. I don't know.
That's assuming they're I don't know. I don't think I think we're too early on to talk about any kind of behaviors like that.
Well, I mean, here's the deal is that here's how I would imagine something that would go hand in hand with migration patterns is you would see an increase in roadside crossings. Because those are generally the most common, like Sasquatch, like reporting. I saw it cross on the road.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen data that backs that up, but there might be, and I'm just unaware of it. But I don't know. I think that I would have to see that in order to think, especially in areas where there's a lot of roadways. We've got national forests galore down here. They're bounded in by roadways, not highways, and all that. So.
I'm giving Martin Groves a heart attack over here. Yes. Rock on, Joe. Jumped out of my chair screaming yes.
You look at what Martin Groves reported feeling. You look at those of you in the audience that have had that zapping effect yourself. Go look at what they have scientifically proved infrasound to be capable of doing. Now go look at microwave, how microwaves affect you, EMF sensitivity. You know, there's RF sensitivity. That is more in line with what people are experiencing an electromagnetic phenomenon, not a sound phenomenon. So, and unless something proves me wrong.
I feel like we need to have like confetti falling from the ceiling right now. Joe's on fire.
Joe on fire. Well, we just got onto the subject, and it's just something that's just been there for me. You know what I'm saying? And I keep looking at it going, the more I learn, the more it makes me. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, I'm going to read this. Hog sent me this. He didn't want to type it out on here. It says, a friend from another state called me up one day. She said a Bigfoot from my area wants me to come outside. Okay. A friend from another state called me up one day. She said a Bigfoot from my area wants me to come outside. So like the Bigfoot from her area, from his area is telling her that. I told this lady to ask for a name, so she did, and a picture showed in her mind, a rose. See, I know this one. She's a young female that I saw one day. This woman was in southern Ohio, and I was in northeast Indiana. The ones from my area were also seen in her area.
That's crazy. That's wild.
So it's like entering your mind.
But here's
from a distance too.
But distance doesn't seem like it matters with any of this stuff.
No.
Remember Tom Powell?
Yeah.
Okay. Bigfoot researcher who was like one of the first, like just out there woo guys. He had stuff follow him home hundreds of miles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what is Bigfoot like running down the interstate behind your car, knows where your house is at?
It's the same thing with skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
There's some sort of interconnectivity to this that distance isn't really a hindrance to. Okay. It's not a hindrance to any of this stuff. And again, I get back to that. It's not like how a tribe, like a troop of monkeys behaves. That's almost like a hive intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Everything's connected. Everything's all in order. It follows certain rules. It never deviates. So anyway, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Projecting images.
But again, you get back to this. If you're using microwaves to make your brain translate that microwave into sound.
Well, there's a theory that the Great Pyramid was designed to produce a microwave to go out into the ether.
I mean, you've got everything. We're biological sensors.
Could that be a communication?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're biological sensors, and again, there's a thing called thermoelasticity that like where heat makes things expand and contract, and that's taking place inside your brain with all of the associated sensory interpretation apparatus going on. And so if it can do that with sound, why can't it do that with an image? This is not scientifically impossible. This is not crazy talk. You know what I'm saying? It's right there. They experimented with it a little bit and then they just stopped because,
Did they?
Well, that's what they claim because of the heat buildup. And I'm going, something to that effect, the government would not have stopped upon.
No.
They would have moved it underground. And they probably would have had some unwilling participants until they got it fine-tuned. But if we're doing it, that's not the same. And guess what? It might be the same effect that has a different stimuli other than microwaves. There might be something out there, the super spectrum, dark, whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever you want to call it, something else that's out there that is able to affect changes on the environment that we don't really understand as far as like our understanding of electromagnetism goes. So. Damn, I am all over the freaking board tonight. Jesus
I think the
Lord.
heat's building up in your brain.
Heat's building up in my brain, man. So.
Moondog's going to have to take a nap after this.
All right.
Wave the Sploot asks, why not take the 1.6 gigahertz frequency and pair it with the metallic hum harmonics?
Well, it's actually a pretty good. One of the things that we have not done, because we have small signal generators. They're handheld. They're not that big. Now we do have we're experimenting with a larger one right now. We're also looking at, we don't do a lot of stuff with sound. But that's something that I'm kind of been thinking about. We do. And it usually people hear like, oh, you need to play babies crying or play the Sierra sounds. And I'm thinking more along the lines of like what's
the drum guy.
Yeah, the drum guys.
I love drum guy.
Love drum guy. The dude who would take like a full drum set. I can't remember his name. Said my life. Jeremiah interviewed him not too long ago.
I know that we're gonna watch that video of him in the snow with drums.
He just took a whole drum kit out there and just started banging on them, man.
But think about this, like with this email that we got, the sound of these fireworks going off, the sound, it's setting them off, you know.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we figured out a way on the infrasound subject, not to beat a dead horse at this point, which I guess we are. It's commercially available, like recording and then like audio equipment. It's focused on what you can hear, 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz. You can get stuff to go below 20 hertz into infrasonic range, but it's expensive.
Because there's no market for it.
No market for it. You can't hear it. Why does somebody want something that, you know, you can get some subwoofers that go down there, but there's
Schrodinger's tone.
Yeah, exactly. But the internet is such an awesome place. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy. It's not going to be backpack portable yet, but we're going to be able to generate pretty strong infrasound soon. So the goal is going to be, to have our infrasonic detection ready, generate infrasound, and I'm talking massive amounts, turn that off, then turn it on and see if we get anything responding to it.
Yeah.
That's outside of the
Just
natural.
pump it out and see if we get a response.
But if we're like the Sploots thing, why don't we try to do some other harmonics with it as well? So craziness.
And then we pair it with Bigfoot CE5.
Bigfoot CE5. We got to come up with a new term for that.
BE5. BF5.
Freaking Not Today comes in like somebody just set up a bat signal for
Oh,
them.
no.
Crazy science stuff. All right.
Oh, Goshawk has one. Maybe that's why Bigfoot has a conical shaped skull
Lord.
to channel the energy.
That's actually, write that down. That's pretty damn good. So look at the brain on our chat tonight,
The
man.
brain trust.
The brain trust has arrived and is in full effect, man. We need like a council. You know what I'm saying? The Hellbent Holler Council. Like a big round table. Everybody has like badass robes and everything like that. You know, we have to call a meeting of the council, you know. Talking about infrasound is used in some jurisdictions for riot control. That's ultrasound. That's sound above 20,000 hertz. That's real high pitched, not low pitched. Ultrasonic stuff, LRADs and everything like that. That's what you're thinking of. That's the other end of the sound spectrum, I guess you could call it. Infrasound
It's the bat side of things.
Yeah, so that's the loud piercing sound. That's an LRAD. That's for crowd control and whatnot. So
I'm so behind.
yeah, we're running late because I guess we just got too damn into it.
I'm gonna have to get a personal air conditioner for that noggin of yours.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So
bring down the microwaves. MK Ultra says, I wonder what list you get put on when ordering infrasound gear. We already have some infrasound.
The dude just didn't bat an eye when I was talking to him, and I've told the story before, but they produced a version of it that was mostly used by amateur astronomers, because amateur astronomers have their telescopes just up and they're just constantly recording, and they were looking for bolides, just meteorites coming in and burning up in the atmosphere.
And when they get a spike, they'd know when to look.
Well, because those meteorites give off infrasound
when
they enter the atmosphere and are destroyed. So what these amateur astronomers would do is they would look, instead of watching 12 hours worth of telescope footage, they would look on their infrasonic detector and they'd go, infrasound spike right here. Let's look up. Bam, there it is entering. So they were doing it mostly for that. And then people were also hooking it up to stations in elephant preserves and listening to how elephants used infrasound to communicate. And then we talked him into doing one up for us. And he was like, why do you guys want this? And I just went, screw it. Bigfoot research, man, And what's funny is we were figuring out how to order it. I wanted to order it. I was a little trepidatious from sending this dude so much money. I mean, he had a legit business, but he sold a lot of his other stuff through like eBay. And I'm like, could you throw just one up on eBay for me? And so he got it up there and he sold it. And I think he's I don't know if he's made a few more. I really need to get back in touch with him and going.
I think he added Bigfoot
to
the uses for his equipment.
But that was the standard one. Yeah. The uses of what you could use it for: astronomy, wildlife research, paranormal research, Bigfoot research.
He's just looking to do some marketing bro.
The dude tapped into an untapped market there. So, all right, we're going to be wrapping up here in a minute, guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, we started off with animal predation, something very simple, and then we just went crazy esoteric.
Mind-melting microwaves.
Yes.
Yes.
Alan Lasser, do y'all think maybe y'all's equipment might be causing Dogman or Bigfoot to stay away from y'all? You hear that all the time. You hear people go, y'all just need to go out there without any cameras. And then all we have is more campfire stories.
Yeah, more stories about, and then we saw this and this.
Why didn't you have a camera? Well, and so I don't know. We've had activity when we've been running equipment. So obviously if it's pushing it back, it's not pushing it back all the time. I think some of the stuff we do draws stuff in because it's novel. It's not something like that.
We did have a lack of activity when you were carrying holy water in your bag, which is weird.
And then we set that beacon off that we kind of cobbled together, and we've had low level weirdness happen a lot with that. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys, we're doing last call.
Yeah. I gotta make Joe some dinner.
I gotta eat, man.
Burned up all these cows with that giant noggin of his.
That giant noggin. So
Hey, you did a good job, Joe.
You did a good job tonight. Thank you. But yeah, people are talking about infrasound on here. They use it for earthquake detection. Avalanches give it off. Weather systems give it off. When we hook it up,
wind farms,
it goes off. There's infrasound all around you. There's constantly, but people are talking about targeted, pretty powerful infrasound would be the only thing that would do this. And that doesn't occur in nature. It doesn't occur in the environment. Elephants do use it to communicate, and you don't hear of zookeepers or wildlife biologists suffering the zap effect.
Yeah.
And elephants are bigger than Sasquatch.
You always bring up the marine biologist bobbing to the surface.
Whales give off infrasound, and it travels for hundreds of miles because air does a better job of conducting it than water does a better job of conducting it than air does. You don't hear marine biologists swimming with the whales all of a sudden bobbing up unconscious because they got hit with them. And people will tell me, oh, well, dolphins do this. Dolphins will use infrasound and it will cause. And I go, then why is it not? Because if I was a marine biologist and that happened, I would be studying that.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Nobody's studying that. Nobody's reported that. That's not, it's never panned out whenever I've heard that. So
At the top of the list, wouldn't it?
Top of the list. So, all right, guys.
These dolphins are weapons. That's what they do. Is the military industrial complex would just start using dolphins.
And people that are in these like national parks or whatnot that are having this, they've taken weaponized dolphins out, little tanks of water.
Yeah.
And they've gone, eep a cheap, zap that dude over there. You know what I'm saying?
Deploy the dolphin.
So, all right.
All right, guys. Well,
I think we're done here.
I think we're done here. All right. Thank you, guys. Joe, put an ice pack under your eye. I think I will put an ice pack under
We're
your eye.
done.
I gotta cut your hair and make you dinner. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us for Hellbent Holler Live. We went from 0 to 6,000. That was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. I want to say welcome to all the new members. Thank you to all the people who sent us super chats and super stickers.
We will put it to good use on the infrasound generation thing.
Yeah,
So,
let's generate some infrasound.
Generate some infrasound, man. So
yeah, let's do it.
send the dolphins after Nessie.
Hey, there you go. Fight fire with fire, baby.
I just have this quick image in my head of us. We backed up to Loch Ness. We backed this giant trailer back up to like Loch Ness. We open the door, slide the door open. There's this glass partition, and there's just all these dolphins up to them. And we go get them, boys. And then we just let them go. And our brave little dolphins swim into the abyss on the hunt for Nessie.
And then he just bobs to the surface because
With like a flipper in its hand going like a trumpet, you know. All right, guys. We are maybe going to do, now that we've just gone completely full tilt crazy, we're going to maybe do a Friday show.
Oh, yeah. Geez, that totally glossed over that. Yes.
We are going to do a Friday show, and we're probably going to do a short because we should have announced that at the beginning. Probably. Hey. Kind of flying by the seat of our pants here, guys. We're going to be doing a Friday night live stream, probably the same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
We are going to actually have a guest for once. It's not going to be us just babbling.
You get somebody else to babble with us.
We're going to get somebody to babble along with us.
An additional babbler.
We're having our boy Aaron Dees from Small Town Monsters. That he's going to come on and he's going to talk some Dogman with us. He's going to talk the LBL, Texas Dogman Triangle.
Hunting Grounds is his new book.
Yeah.
He'll be discussing Hunting Grounds. We'll be discussing Dogman Territory. If you haven't seen Dogman Territory yet, Aaron actually goes with us to the alleged massacre site.
And he is I'm extremely impressed by Aaron on pretty much every level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's weird because I don't have a lot of time to listen to like a lot of like cryptid interviews and podcasts because we're doing our thing. You know, it takes a lot of research doing this. I always go, oh, Aaron's on something, and I like listen to it. Aaron is a extremely impressive individual.
He's fascinating. Fascinating. He's very fascinating, and I feel like he's somebody that when he gets new information or finds things out, he doesn't reject them. He kind of goes, well, okay, let's take a look at this.
He is intellectually honest.
Yeah.
He is brilliant. He's a phenomenal researcher.
Yeah.
He is a phenomenal. We're like investigators. Aaron's like a researcher. Aaron's got like a room with maps with like little pins on it, like, you know, files that he goes through. That's like a researcher. He is like
this man has files. Okay.
Yeah, Aaron's one of the most impressive people. And when I say one of the most impressive people, he's in a real small group at the top. So
yeah,
he's going to come on and talk Dogman with us and kind of palaver. He's also a hell of a nice guy. So I mean,
So join us on Friday, 7:30. We'll be hitting that Dogman subject and
Get that dog.
Hey, it's Dogman summer, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, I might do a graphic like that. But we're gonna have him on at 7:30 on Friday. So join us for that. Clear your schedule because that's gonna be a fun one.
Block off some time. I am gonna say how long that's gonna go because it might be an hour.
Pack a lunch.
Man, so.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for Hellbent Holler Live. No, Aaron is not the dude.
That was Alex. Aaron is the author of Texas Dogman Triangle and
Hunting Grounds,
the LBL, and he is in the movie with Shannon LeGros. So that just came out.
The guy in the pot, the veggies, that's Alex. I mean, nobody really knows where he's at. You know, he just fell off the map.
I think he's on a research expedition there somewhere.
In Antarctica.
You know, probably coming back any moment. You know?
Yeah. Could be home anytime now.
So, all right, guys.
All right.
We appreciate
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'm going to give you guys some music to go out on. Let's find something cool. Let's find something fun. How about, oh,